The reason for me calling this meeting today is just to talk about Maley Drive. There have been a number of misconceptions that have been floated around the community about Maley Drive, and I want to take this moment to provide you with the facts. And the first thing I'd like to say is that this project is critical to the economy of Greater Sudbury. Why? Because it's going to create 780 jobs. It's going to save us about $11.1 million annually in time savings as citizens, and it's forward thinking. It'll build not only to meet the current demands of our community, but our future needs. And the reason we're doing this is we're here to build a city for our children and our grandchildren. We should be proud that 2 levels of government have recognized the importance of this project and would be willing to invest $55.2 million in Greater Sudbury. Now, some say we should take the money and use it to fix existing infrastructure. Problem is, we can't. If we cancel the Maley Drive project, we will lose this provincial and federal funding totaling $55.2 million as an investment in Greater Sudbury. It'll likely go to another community in Northern Ontario. Currently, we spend about $80 million a year dedicated to maintaining existing infrastructure. And of course, it's always on our radar. We will continue to invest and repair our existing roads. And that's vital. But now is the time to invest in new projects to grow and to succeed as a city. We can afford Maley Drive. Some people have questioned how. Well, we already have a plan in place to fund the project. We have $10.5 million in the bank. And with this plan, 4 years after Maley Drive is completed, it'll be completely paid for. This project will not raise taxes. It will not put us in debt. We have contingencies built into the project, and we'll stay on budget. Net maintenance will only increase by about $180,000 per year, and that's affordable. Our total city budget is $518 million per year. We're talking about maintenance increase of $180,000. It is definitely affordable. It will extend the useful life of LaSalle Boulevard by 8 to 10 years, and reducing traffic by 10,000 vehicles and 1,000 to 1,500 trucks per day will allow city to reduce the frequency of having to spend millions of dollars on resurfacing LaSalle Boulevard and others. Previously, LaSalle was resurfaced at a cost of $14 million. So that's an important element, is in extending the useful life of those other roads. We are still also able to commit to other capital projects. The city has a number of other capital projects that are shovel-ready. As a community, we can commit to Maley Drive, and we can still invest in other vital arteries within our city, including Lawrence Street and MR35, just to name 2. Council is also in the process of looking at a plan to invest in other infrastructure projects, such as water and wastewater pipes. I just like to finish off by saying, you know, we as a council, we see a vision of growth for our community, and we want to see it flourish and succeed. That's why we were elected. Can you imagine a city of Greater Sudbury without the Pear Street Bridge? Can you imagine the city of Greater Sudbury without the LaSalle extension or the Brady extension? I can't. We need to move forward. I want to see our community grow. And I'm asking, don't you? Thank you. Do you have any questions? Okay. Probably best if I sit here or stand here. Yeah.
I'm wondering if there are any cost overruns. How will they be paid for?
We've, as I said, we've included contingencies in the project. We do that at all times. We do have an enhanced project management process that we're following for Maley Drive, and we're confident we will not have overruns.
There's a big divide between some of the arguments that you're making and what a lot of the critics are saying. And the critics are very passionate in supporting Maley Drive. How do you account for that vocal strident opposition?
Well, I think we had a very successful meeting just a few weeks ago. We've been providing information and communications out to the public continuously over the last year since we were elected, and I think if anybody watches the presentation that our General Manager, Infrastructure Services, Tony Security, presented to Council and to the public, I think they'll see why Maley Drive is a good project, how it is well planned, and you're talking about our advisors within the city are people who have built these roads in the past. Their careers are in infrastructure, and it's their area of expertise. So we're working with facts, and obviously we are committed to working with the most reliable information that we have related to this project and any other project. And I really feel that we've been extremely open in communicating, sharing all the information that we have, and so I just invite people to, as I tried to do today, to clarify some of these facts that we're working with as we move forward with Maley Drive. Okay.
I understand that there are endangered species in the area. How will this impact the construction schedule? I understand that there may be new environmental assessments required for this. Can you talk about the endangered species at all?
In the public input session, one of the speakers was not aware of changes in legislation related to environmental assessments. There was an assumption that the timelines had run out. In fact, the timeline is 10 years. We're still within the current environmental assessment, and clearly we are going to follow all of the legislation, all the regulations tied into our environmental assessments and protecting different species that may be along that corridor. But the thing is that we always follow those same protocols and same processes. So it's something that has been taken into account. We are aware of, and it's part of our project plan. Yeah. Sure. They've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yes. So the information will be sent forward to councillors as soon as it's available. Pardon? And it'll also be available on our website. Well, I'm very confident in the merits of the Maley Drive project, and I feel that council will support it. It's something that's been a priority for decades. We've done a great deal of due diligence. Different levels of government have also done their due diligence in a very detailed review of the project, and I fully expect council to support the project, and I also expect the federal government to support Greater Sudbury. And Marc Serré, has said publicly that he absolutely supports the council in whatever decision that council makes, and we thank Marc for working on our behalf with the federal government.
Well, Mr. Serré, did you take a question?
Sure.
One of the main sort of arguments for Maley Drive is to get the heavy ore trucks off of going through the middle of the city. Is there a way to ensure that that'll happen? Is there a way to work with the mining companies to make sure that
the ore trucks are Maley Drive proposal. There was an alternate road that was a concept in, I believe, in the 1970s. And so that's one of the projects that some of the people have brought forward. It was to be entirely for mining activity. It was actually turned down in the 1970s because there are not enough benefits if you only consider mining activity. So this is not about the mining activity. The key points, for us moving forward at this point in time are that it will create 780 jobs throughout the construction process, and it also save a significant amount of time for Sudburyans in traveling through east to west or west to east within our city. And I was sitting on LaSalle Boulevard in rush hour traffic the other day. What it means is that there's 40,000 cars each day on LaSalle Boulevard, and 10,000 cars are predicted to shift to Maley Drive once Maley Drive is complete. So 1 in 4 cars. And that certainly would help the flow of traffic on LaSalle Boulevard and other arteries within our community.
So what about the slurry trucks? So that is one of the benefits. Is there a way to get the mining companies to use Maley Drive?
Well, I believe that it would be a quicker route, and it'll be up to private. But it is one benefit, and really, when you're talking slurry trucks, but never forget that we have in the range of 14,000 people that work in the mining service and supply sector. And so people working in the mining service and supply sector that are supporting the different mining related companies around Sudbury. And so this will help that entire segment.
So how much does the city have for Maley Drive right now?
So we have $10.5 million in the bank. We are currently putting $2.3 million away each year. And 4 years after Maley Drive is completed, we should have Maley Drive paid off.
Okay, so we struggled to get the money, the $6 million that we took out of reserve. So can you guarantee that we're going to have that money put away every year?
The money's been put away for 4 to 5 years already each year, and yet, as I was explaining earlier, we're investing $80 million annually in repairs and maintenance on our existing infrastructure, all the while that we were putting $2.3 million away towards this future project.
And you're confident, but can you guarantee we're not going to see any cost overruns?
Absolutely, we will control it.
How? What happens if the price of oil changes? What happens if cost changes?
Project, there are contingencies built in, and so there's an allowance for the things that will crop up, and those are anticipated when you develop a project budget.
So what happens if City Council doesn't side with you on Tuesday?
Well, if City Council doesn't side in favor of proceeding with the Maley Drive project, we will lose $55.2 million in investment from our federal and provincial partners. We're first on the list for that money, but we're not first and second. So whoever's in second place for those types of funds will get the money, and we go to the back of the list.
So if City Council doesn't side with you on Tuesday and we lose, are we only losing $55 million, or do you think we're losing a lot more than that?
Well, there are impacts to the economy, and we're not going to have 780 jobs from this project, and we're not going to save the $11.1 million or $11.1 million annually in time savings. That will affect all of us, but particularly the mining service and supply companies that are traveling east to west between the different mine sites.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is a rush. I feel like this is a really short turnaround time for people to voice their concerns. I feel like we're almost in crunch time on this. Is that what you're feeling like?
I'm not feeling that. I feel that this has been a #1 priority of council and has been in the public discussions for 20 years, and so I'm not feeling that at all. This is the time when we need to invest and move our city forward. Okay.
So the provincial funding is dependent on the federal funding, so it's conditional on federal saying that the election is funding. And there hasn't been any announcement to that effect.
Correct. So what's happened is in, I believe, March of 2014, the provincial government passed their budget, put money aside for this project, but it requires the two contributions are connected, and if we don't get the federal contribution, then we will not get the provincial contribution, and so we lose the $55 million.
Have you heard anything from the federal government? Or is it a year to
Well, I think it's very promising. We've gone through all stages of due diligence by the federal government, and we've provided our business case and all of the project details that they wanted to see to ensure that they felt comfortable in supporting this project, and they absolutely do. We're done with their questions, and we're at the point now where, speaking with Mr. Serré, that we're at the point now that we will make a vote to endorse Maley Drive, and that will be the signal to the federal government and to the provincial government to release the funds.